Welcome, everybody, and I'm Kim Blackman.
And I'm Judy Blackman, and we are thrilled to be back for our second season of Great Chefs of St. George. This season, we will be focusing on just desserts.
How timely, because today is
Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's.
Same to you.
We'll have to do that again soon, by the way. And meanwhile, we're going to make this chocolate covers dream dessert, a rustic Italian flourless chocolate cake. By leaving out the flour and adding the whipped eggs and the butter, the intensity of the chocolate just explodes. I think this cake is experiential in its eating.
What does that mean?
That means that you and your guests are going to remember this dessert for years to come.
Oh, that's probably true.
Before we get baking, Judy and I want to thank everybody for the great reviews we received for last season, which was our first, and it was quite challenging. We tended to speak over each other and crosstalk as well.
I do remember doing that, but we have been practicing, and now we think we're more like Hoda and Kathy Lee.
And which one am I?
You can choose.
Okay, thank you. Well, you've made this cake 4 or 5 times this week, so I think you should be the lead today, and I'll just be your assistant and add my 2 cents when you ask.
That'll be a miracle.
Okay, well, let's see if it
Let's
can happen.
start baking, yeah. First thing you have to do when you bake anything is turn on your oven. So
I can do that.
Thank you. 350 degrees. Then you need to prepare your pan. We are going to be using this pan here, a 9-inch springform. You're all familiar with that. And Kim is going to butter it, but first we need to cut out a piece of parchment to place on the bottom. But we're going to butter the whole pan, including the bottom.
So we're going to put the parchment paper on the bottom, but we're going to butter it first, yes?
Yes,
And
but
then
you can
put
cut
the
it out
parchment
anytime,
paper
before or
over
after.
there. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to, first of all, you definitely want your butter to be room temperature when you do this, so that you'll actually be able to spread it around. And then, after you do that, if you put this right down on the parchment, you can take a marker. It won't work with a pen, but you can take a marker and use it as an outline for what you want to cut.
Okay, while he's doing that, I'm going to start melting the chocolate and the butter. Now, I'm using a homemade double boiler. I have tried it in the microwave, and I like doing it this way much better. Microwave is just very intense. You have to keep turning it on and off. It's just much easier to do it this way. And we're using this tarred chocolate. You can use any 70%, 60 or 70% chocolate. You want good quality chocolate. And if you buy bars, you're going to have to chop it up first in a food processor, or these come in tiny chips. So I'm going to put that in my double boiler. And then we have 3/4 of a cup of butter, unsalted butter, and I've cut it up so it would be a little faster for it all to melt, and there it goes. And I'm going to start mixing this, and Kim will come back and do the rest while I go on to the next step. You ready?
Yeah, we're all
Okay.
set. So this is what this looks like. We went up on the sides, and we also put it underneath the parchment.
Okay, so the next step is the eggs. And we're going to have to divide the eggs. And the best way I've learned to divide the yolks and the whites is to use your hand. So I'm going to put the egg yolks in the smaller one and the egg whites here. You do see we have 5 eggs, but we're going to use one of those eggs as a whole egg. So number 3, obviously it's a different kind of egg. Came from the same bag though, look, it's a different color altogether. And 4th one, open
Given
it
the
gently.
price of eggs these days, probably have $100 in that bowl right over there.
True, we got a
So you
little
don't
yolk
want
in there
to
too.
have to throw any out.
Okay, if you get a little yolk, no yolk about it, just get it out. Okay, and that's done. Okay, so the next step is we're going to beat these egg yolks. I'm going to put them in the bowl, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Okay, 1/4 cup of sugar, and we're going to beat this for 5 minutes on medium-high speed. When we come back from our break, you'll see how the eggs look after they've been beat for 5 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. While we were off the air, I put the single egg in. So now we have 4 egg whites, 4 egg yolks, excuse me, and 1 whole egg. And it's been mixing for 5 minutes. So the next thing we're going to do is take this, I'll just get the little drips off for a minute, and add it to the chocolate, which is already melted over here. We're going to be using the same bowl, this one, for the egg white, so we're going to have to wash this bowl in between. I rather use a spatula to do this.
I think that's going to be my expertise
So
of washing
you want
that
to
bowl.
take this away, and you're just going to fold this in to the chocolate butter mixture. And you see how the color turned much lighter? That's what you should expect. Okay, here you go.
Okay,
And don't forget the whisk attachment.
I wouldn't
Okay,
forget
now
that.
we want to fold this in until there are no more yellow streaks, which takes a little time. And be sure to get the chocolate from the bottom. Otherwise, you'll wind up with a lot of chocolate at the bottom that hasn't been mixed in with the yolks. It's getting browner. It's going to turn brown eventually.
Okay, we're ready for the egg whites.
Well, then you can come here and do this, continue getting this all blended, and I'll do the next step over here.
Are we folding or stirring?
Folding,
Folding.
only folding.
Okay.
Okay, now we have the 4 egg whites, and we're going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, but we're going to first mix them until they get a little fluffy. Foamy, really. You want them to look foamy. So now I'm going to add the sugar, 1 tablespoon at a time, but I'm not going to use a tablespoon. I'll just put a little in at a time. And we do that for 4 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to take this and start with 1 cup into the chocolate. Oops. Okay, I don't have a cup here. I'll use a 1/2 cup to
That's
start.
a stalactite right there.
1 cup to start. Fold that in. Again, you don't want it to get deflated, so we're folding. And just get it started with that 1 cup, and then we can add the rest. You want to do that? Hang it, pour it in for me,
Sure.
and I can scrape it out as we go.
Maybe not.
Not what? Pour it?
I can't pour it.
Well, no, because it's so thick.
'Cause we've got
it's
such
so,
good peaks.
Yeah, this is going to really rise nicely, this cake. Okay. Good job. I can't see. I think the rest I can do myself. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to wash this in preparation of the whipped cream.
Oh, yes, the whipped cream. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Okay, same thing. Fold it in until you don't see any more streaks. I guess that's the most labor-intensive part of this recipe. And the next thing we're going to do is just put it in the pan and bake it. So we're almost done. And when we put it in the oven, we'll be baking it for 25 minutes. Wow. We're getting there, almost. Okay, it looks like it's all blended together now. There are no white streaks, so we're going to pour it into our pan. Could you bring me the pan, Kim?
Sure. Here you go.
Thank you. And Oh, there it goes. Ah. Okay, now it's going to go into the oven, and we'll see it. When we come back, we'll see how it turns out. Welcome back, everyone. I know someone who would like to lick this bowl.
But I've been waiting patiently. But now the moment has come.
How is it?
That is delicious. And I don't know if I ever told you, but when my mother baked when I was a kid, she never had to wash anything. Thank you.
I'm surprised.
So we're going to tell you a couple tricks on making whipped cream. Number one, you want your bowl to be very cold. So I suggest you put it in the freezer. Not for very long, 10 minutes will do the trick. If you don't get a chance to do that, then put some ice cubes in the bowl and let it sit for just a few minutes. Run it under cold water, the ice cubes will come out and you'll have a cold bowl.
And I should say one thing is that it's hard to put this size bowl in the freezer, right? You couldn't fit it in my freezer. So the ice cubes would be a good thing to do, but you don't have to use this bowl. You can use, an egg beater too.
And a hand mixer, sure, of course. So we've had this heavy cream, and you have to use heavy cream, not half and half, the real thing, and it needs to be also cold. Everything you want to be cold. Now we're going to add I'm making 2 cups. This is 2 cups, right? We're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and, 4 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar. Now, we like the whipped cream not that sweet. Actually, I've used 3 in here, but the recipe calls for 4. So you can adjust it as you feel is best for yourself. And when you start off mixing, I suggest you start off at a low to medium speed.
Otherwise, the sugar is going to go all over the place.
Right, and also to get the ingredients to mix before we start whipping it, for sure. And it does not take long in this machine, 2-3 minutes, and it's going to be done.